area go unpunished, considering the massive catastrophe they created. It's a catastrophe that the entire world is still digging itself out of 5 years later. And it can be linked to the current sovereign debt crisis in Europe. Last spring, youth unemployment in Spain was over 50%. And in the US, jobs and housing markets still haven't recovered. And lastly, why has nothing yet been done 5 years later to put in the types of regulatory action and laws that might prevent a repeat of that kind of crisis? And this isn't just about the United States. This is a global problem and a Canadian one. For the talk that Canada may have emerged relatively unscathed from 2008, I'm not so sure about that. Canada is suffering like the rest of the world, if not quite so badly as some. And Canada isn't all that far off from the United States in terms of income inequality and a threat to the middle class. Although Canada's banks have been praised for being better run and less exposed to risk over this whole episode, recent studies show that that's not quite the case. They received more than $100 billion from the government in order to keep credit flowing in this country. And this year we've seen more evidence that next to nothing has been learned by Wall Street and other financial centers. Exhibit 1, LIBOR. You may have heard that word on the news over the summer and wondered what it meant, as I did. I finally checked into it, and it's all about a massive global interest rate fixing scandal involving many of the world's largest banks to inflate commissions on hundreds of trillions of dollars worth of financial transactions. Exhibit 2, a massive $5 billion trading loss suffered by JP Morgan Chase as a result of the actions of one derivatives trader in London. Maybe these people have learned something. Maybe they've learned that they can continue to act selfishly with no regard for the havoc they create, because the unconstrained free market is the undisputed king of the 21st century, and its princes can act with impunity. Governments are often too slow or nervous to take them on, and consumers and investors that are being taken to the cleaners seem to lack any concept of an alternative. So there are these questions, but they're not being asked during this US election. And the Occupy protest has faded away. Or maybe it's being ignored. Lots has been written in the media and elsewhere about why the Occupy movement was doomed to fail. Lack of strong leadership, no focused set of proposals, oversimplified villains and victims. There's lots of explanations. But although Occupy may not have had a solution to propose, I think they got it spot on when they said that there were a raft of problems and injustices that just aren't being addressed. Most recently, Occupy has switched gears with an interesting offshoot campaign called Occupy Our Homes. They're putting a spotlight on the 1 in 10 US mortgage holders that are currently under threat of foreclosure. That's 5 million US homes. But the Occupy movement seems to have largely gone quiet on the big issues of economic justice or injustice, inequality, and corporate malfeasance that got them started in the first place. So with Occupy relatively silent during the current election, and with corporations unrepentant, what reason do we have to think that things could possibly improve? And how about, and is this stuff completely out of our